Hey Scrapbook friends, this is Michelle at michellesizemore.com with one L in my first name for my website link. I'm a Creative Memories advisor, and today you'll learn how to make this layout using the Relax into Summer collection. It's our 2025 summer collection, and I'm going to show you how to cut a frame out of this background piece so that you'll have lots of paper to use for another project and not waste this decorative paper by hiding it behind this front piece. Okay, so we're going to set everything aside, or set this aside. This is everything I used for the project. I have it in a Power Simple sleeve just to separate it out, and I'll use this for another project when I'm ready to make one. And I used this paper for the background. It's got little like fruit and vegetables and just summer fish and shrimp and stuff. It's all summery. And I used this wave paper. I used this ruled paper and these stickers and this card from the mat pack. Okay. First things first, we're going to cut the frame out. That's the main thing I want you to learn from this layout. Grab this 12-inch trimmer, open the arm, make sure the foot's flipped out. That gives you extra measuring space. And we're going to cut out a 1-inch frame. So we're going to line this paper up with this 1-inch line right here. Excuse me. Grab some water. Okay, we're gonna line it up with the 1-inch mark here. Make sure it follows that grid line all the way down to keep it straight. We're going to start at the top, but normally you would start up here if you were going to cut a whole strip of paper, but we're not going to do that. We're going to start down here. Line the edge of this blue housing up with your top edge of your paper and press and come all the way down, almost all the way down, and then you're going to stop where the bottom of this housing lines up with the edge of your paper. And we're going to do that all the way around. You're going to flip it to the left, line it up at the 1-inch mark, make sure it follows that grid line all the way down and it's straight across. And we're going to do the same thing again. Your housing is going to be level with the edge of your paper, and it's going to stop at the bottom edge of your paper. So the bottom of the housing is level with the bottom edge of your paper. And we're going to flip it again and do the same thing. Line it up at the 1-inch mark. Make sure it's straight up here. And we're going to do the same thing with I'm not going to explain it again. I'm just going to do it. It's just the same thing. And we're going to do it one more time. Flip it to the left again, line it up at the 1-inch mark. This piece tends to kind of catch, so you need to kind of lift that up a little bit so that you can get it straight over here. We're going to line it up at the 1-inch mark, follow that grid line all the way down, start with the housing level with the paper, end with the housing level with the paper, and then you have a frame. So we're going to have this to use for a completely different project. So we saved all that paper, and you know, I love saving paper. So I'm going to set this aside. Now we are going to mount this on top of this, but I need to cut it down to 10.5 by 10.5, which basically means I'm going to cut 1.5 inches off of 2 sides, because this is a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So we're going to line this up with the 1.5 inch mark right here. Make sure it follows that grid line all the way down, straight across, and we're just going to cut all the way down. Save this for another project. And we're going to flip it to the left one time, line it up with the 1.5 inch mark, follow that grid line all the way down and cut, and you're going to save this for another project as well. Okay, and I'm going to grab my silicone mat And what we're going to do, first you need to make sure your face is facing the right direction, because this is a directional pattern. The easiest thing is just to look for the tomatoes and make sure the stems are facing up, okay? So they are. Now, sorry, I got ahead of myself. What I want to do is put some repositionable tape runner along the outside edge of the back of that wave paper. That's the wave paper. Just little dabs all the way down. You don't need a lot. There's no point in putting anything in the middle because what we're going to mount it on is hollow. Okay, so now let's make sure our direction is right. And our little tomatoes are face up. And we want to make sure the waves are horizontal. And then just going to mount this and center it. Just eyeball it. And if you get it wrong, it's okay, because I'm using repositionable tape runner. You can pick it up and move it around. And I do think I need to come up a little now that I'm looking at it. I think that looks good enough for me. Okay, so now, is it slanted? No, it's okay. So you're just going to press down and make sure that sticks all the way around. Now you could do this reverse, like you could just not cut your blue paper at all, except maybe 1/4 of an inch off of two sides, and then mount your frame on top of it. You know, you could do it both ways. And then you have this other side. If you liked it, you could scrapbook on this and have a different look, or not. It's up to you. Okay, so we got that part done. That was the main thing I wanted you to learn about how to save paper. Now, here is my original. I want to get this right here. So this comes from the Variety Matte Pack that comes with Relax Into Summer. And I need to cut 2.5 inches off the bottom to start with. And I've played around with it and I came up with that measurement myself. So my pencil line is at 2.5 inches, but I'm gonna just to double check myself, but I'm gonna line it up at 2.5 inches, and that is correct. So the pencil line is lined up with this left-hand side dotted line right here on your mat. You have 2 dotted lines. The left-hand side one is where it's going to cut. And I'm going to go ahead and flip this because I can tell it's getting an indentation in it. You get 4 flips out of this because you always need a good left-hand side dotted line. So I just flip that. Now my left-hand side dotted line is new and it's really good. So line it up at the 2.5 inch mark. And my pencil line matches up with that left-hand side dotted line, which is what I want. And I'm going to cut that. And then I need to just cut a little tiny bit off of here. So basically what you need to do is line your card up, the top of your card up with the edge of this gray mat. I'm going to use that as my sight line. Okay, and that does, I'm going to come over just a little bit past it because that's where my line is. Just a little bit past that gray mat and cut. And now I have the right size that I need to fit in that area. Okay. So that would fit right here. So that's my sample page. Let me press this down to make sure that sticks really well. Okay, so that would go up here, and I would add my stickers like this. So let's do that. We're going to do these flowers. And this little shell kind of sticking out here, sort of like a little corner decoration. And I need a red flower here. So there's my little decoration. I'm not going to mount this yet. I want to get everything laid out. And I could, of course, go back and erase this pencil line, so it won't show. There we go. All right, that will go there. And then we just need to do our photos. So I'm going to grab some pretend photos. These are all 4x6s, so that's the size of photos when they're printed. So to get this to work, this layout to work, oh, I didn't mean to do that. This is the size that I need these photos. So I'll start up here with 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. So it needs to be 4 3/4 inches wide. So 4, line it up with the 3/4 line. So 4 3/4. Okay. Make sure it's straight at the top and cut. You could also use your personal trimmer for this. Or yeah, it's called a photo trimmer actually. And then it's going to be by 3 3/4. So I'm going to line up the 3 3/4 line and cut. So that would be this photo right here. And then this needs to be 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. And y'all, since I'm doing just cards, I'm going to cut both of these at the same time. I wouldn't do that with photos. They're a little bit thicker. But we're going to go to, okay, let me open this. My 1/2 inch line on this trimmer is right here. Let me make sure y'all can see that. So there's a line right there. That's the 5 1/2 inch mark. So we're going to line that up there. We need to cut, I've got 2 together, 5 1/2 inches by 3 3/4 inches. 3 3/4 inches. Okay. Get all that out of the way. And basically this would be the photos that go here and here. And then this is my ruled paper. And I'm going to cut it to 1 3/4 inches wide. 1 3/4 inches wide is right there. I'm going to make sure it follows straight all the way down, and it is. And then it's going to be 5 1/2 inches long. So I need to open my arm again, flip it to the left, and line that up with that 5 1/2 inch mark, which is right there. Okay, and cut. Oops. That didn't cut all the way through. Let me grab my scissors. I didn't press hard enough, so it didn't cut all the way through. There we go. And I love this ruled paper. I use it all the time. Okay, and then this would go here. This would go here. This would go here. And then you would write on this with your fine tip pen. These pens from Creative Memories have a round tip side. So if you wanted like a little title, Maui or beach, and then you could do that with the round tip side, and the fine tip side you could do your journaling. And so that's how you would do this page. And I'm going to show you how I would put it in my book. Here's a scrapbook. I, of course, think Creative Memories albums are the best. That's why I started Creative Memories. I love the albums, and then I just grew to love everything else about Creative Memories. So, we're going to open this up, and I'm going to show you how to mount this onto a regular scrapbook page. So this is a, is that white or Spargo? Yeah, it's white. Okay, so I'm going to put a little dabs of tape runner, about 4 on each side, and then several dabs in the middle, but you don't need a lot, okay? Now I'm going to line this up with the edge of the jeeping and the top and the bottom, and just gently press down and make it stick. And then you would put your page protector over it. Now you could also choose to, I'm going to use this one just to show you. You could also choose, if you didn't want to use a regular scrapbook page, you could put it in a top loading sleeve. I've got those mixed and matched in here. You would take the insert out. You could save this to use as white cardstock or a base page. And then you would just pretend this is all decorated. You would just slide this in like this and push it down in there. And then you could have it in a top loading page, and then you could either scrapbook on the back of this if you like that, or you could just scrapbook on another piece of paper and then put them back to back. But you see through these top loading pages, so it's up to you. Whatever you like. And I love how these pages mix and match with each other. You can also, we have multi-pocket pages which hold 4x6 photos. You can mix and match all those pages together. So let's take one last look at our final page. And I hope you like that, and I hope it helps you see how you can save a lot of paper to use on another project. Y'all have a great day. Bye.